How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours talking pro wrestling. Second hour, Samoa Joe, who's coming off some of the best matches of the year, one which we saw on last month's TNA pay-per-view with three-way with AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, and another which we haven't seen yet with Kenta Kobashi that people who have seen say is a better match than the other one. So we'll be talking to him about upcoming things, including his match with Jushin Liger on the TNA Bound for Glory pay-per-view, which is this coming Sunday, and some other things going on with him. So that's second hour. First hour, we're going to mostly be taking phone calls. We do have one line open at 1-800-878-PLAY, so you can hop on board. Bryan, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good. You know, last 2 weeks have been quite interesting. The last time we did this show was October 2nd, I mean, which was the day before the Monday Night War, and it turned out to be quite an interesting 2 weeks. We're now with a weird situation with the Raw announcing, and UFC announcing, and it all intertwined. And when we were on the show, remember how I kept saying how Vince is going to do a dirty trick the night before?
Yeah.
Well, that was a dirty trick.
Well, he didn't.
But
pull
he didn't.
It off.
He didn't pull. He didn't pull it off. And I think
found a man who was above the carny world of pro wrestling, really.
Yeah. He tried to hire Mike Goldberg, tried to have him no-show the UFC live event, show up in Austin, and where Raw was taking place, and be the new announcer for Raw. It didn't quite work out according to Vince, as Vince McMahon planned it, and apparently he's been in a very bad mood ever since. And I think we've seen that.
Yeah, he was in a very angry mood on Monday.
Yeah.
A very angry mood, and it was so weird. And we talked about this a little bit before the show started, but what's happening?
I don't know.
No one knows. It's so strange. It seems like it has to be an angle.
Oh, everyone thinks it's an angle except for the people who wrote it.
Yeah.
And still may be, but...
And think about that. They wrote that thinking that was the end of Jim Ross.
Well, but here's the thing. I mean, there's not a question in the world that the end of Jim Ross was supposed to be September 26th. I mean, not a question, because Mike Goldberg was supposed to start on October 3rd. Mm-hmm. So as far as, people going like, it's just like a thing. I mean, they offered a guy a 3-year contract. I mean, there's not even a question about that. So Jim Ross was supposed to be gone. But as far as what's going to happen now, anyone's guess, I guess.
Yeah.
You didn't see the skit, Bryan?
No, I haven't seen the skit yet, sadly, but I've heard a lot about it.
Oh, it was just, it was tremendous. It was one of the, the whole thing was going down, and it was really good. It was the funeral for the Dudleys, or the former Dudleys, for Team 3D, and it was Team Canada, Abyss. Jim Mitchell was doing the eulogy, and Chris Harrison, James Storm, and Gail Kim and Jeff Jarrett were also in the audience. And
I bet that was a hell of a eulogy.
Jim Mitchell was tremendous.
Yeah.
The gist of the eulogy was that these carpetbaggers came in to, get on our glory that we built for 3 years, and they came Johnny-come-latelys, and we got rid of them. Done much better than that. And Harris and Storm are in the back drinking beer, and Storm's going, he's got to go to the bathroom, and then they come out and do a eulogy, and it was just, the line of all lines was when Storm goes, I hear dead people, Bubba's talking to us from the grave saying, Devon, get the, and then Jeff Jarrett goes, their careers are already over, they don't need another lawsuit. I mean, that one was too good. I didn't see that one. I didn't know that one was coming.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. It's funny because, Spike's kind of gotten cold feet on this one, but, one thing you got to say is TNA's like sneaking them in now.
Yeah. What's Spike's deal?
I don't think they want to insult WWE on their TV.
Are they afraid WWE's going to insult them back from the USA Network?
No, I just think that they think that it's, I just think they don't want to get involved in that. They just want to, I just don't think they want to get involved in that. Although I think Spike's, now that Impact is doing so much of a better rating than Velocity, and that last week, of course, we really don't know what's going to happen in weeks to come. But last week, in 18 to 49s, without WWE, Spike was actually up from with WWE, which was because they did 1 million UFC specials during the week. they're all of a sudden thinking, that WWE loss was not nearly what everyone predicted it would be. But then again, if one of their problems is they, you can't overexpose UFC and think that it's going to bail you out forever.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to draw you the 3.5 rating that Raw will. They just do so many shows of it, but all those shows, that's going to work in reverse anyway because they're overexposing that product on television, I think.
Yeah.
But, we had the Monday Night Wars, and I thought that the UFC did not do well. Rating-wise was fine, but, I just thought show-wise, I thought...
The show itself was not good.
Yeah, I think the show was unprepared. I thought WWE did a great show, which in the long run probably did them, I don't want to say more harm than good, but maybe more harm than good because I'm guessing that the buy rate from last Sunday was all-time record low. That's my guess. And so in the long run, they didn't make any money. They lost money doing the show. They don't make any ad money. Buy rate's all-time low, so I don't know that that's a positive. No one's going to the house shows. So I don't know that was a wise move to throw everything out there on the one night. But, on the positive side, Hulk Hogan did challenge Steve Austin on, in front of the largest crowd. I thought he pretty much did.
Well, he did, but it was one of those things where they had to cut Hogan short, and I think the way that it was done, I think when it was over, it was the impact had been lessened so much that in 3 weeks, I think people could have forgotten about it.
Oh, I think they forgot about it the week after
Well,
because it was never followed up on at all on Monday's show.
Yeah.
And then Monday's show was exactly, when that show started and Stephanie McMahon was out there doing that promo, I'm going like, oh boy.
Little did you know.
Oh boy, remember this, Stephanie McMahon, and then the long Triple H promo that he could have done in 2 minutes, and then the 20 minutes it seemed like, if not more. I think, how long was that thing at the end with Vince and Stephanie and Linda and Jim Ross? And
oh God, I didn't time it, but it had to be 12 minutes.
Oh no, it had to be longer than that because I think they started about a quarter till. And they went off the air at like 10 after. They went off because they went way late.
That's right, because my TiVo stopped recording it. I missed Linda.
Yeah.
I had to go back and find it on their website. But yeah, it went a long time to accomplish the goal of Linda McMahon getting the most heat of anybody on the show.
Linda McMahon as a heel, which is just like Linda.
And then she did that interview on WWE.com.
Oh, what was it? I read it, but that's just. To me, that's just what it is.
Well, yeah, but the fact that she did that means she's coming back.
Oh, no, they're all going to be on TV Monday.
Yeah.
No, all the McMahons, and, maybe Shane will go babyface, maybe not. But it's just like, oh, my God, that McMahon family thing's coming back. And, boy, TNA could not have picked a better time to get on television.
That's for sure.
They're in a, because they have a network that actually wants them to succeed rather than just putting them in there, which at another time, that's what it would have been. They've got, I think that they're going to have a very big disgruntled WWE fan base, and they're the alternative.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
And they are an alternative.
They're a viable alternative. And they're doing better pay-per-views than WWE.
Yeah.
I'm sure that this coming Sunday's pay-per-view, it could not possibly be worse than last Sunday's pay-per-view. It would be impossible.
Well, oh yeah, for sure. With the lineup they've got, yes.
Yeah, no, come on, AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels.
No, there's no way.
There's no way. They can have an off night and they're going to be better than and Samoa Joe and Liger. At worst they're only going to have a very good match. At best they're going to have a great match. And there was nothing good on that last pay-per-view. I didn't think. And we haven't even gotten to SmackDown, but that's another issue. Oh boy, okay.
Midgets.
The midgets, yes.
The midgets are coming.
Yeah, the midgets are coming on SmackDown.
That's the plan to, fight the X Division.
Yes.
The minis.
They're going to be called the Juniors.
The Juniors, yeah.
Yes, under 5 feet tall. They're recruiting people from Mexico as we speak. And in fact, they want more. This was a funny one. They want more Mexican wrestlers on the roster. And one wrestler in the company mentioned this to me yesterday and said, they have Super Crazy and Juventud Guerrera, who are tremendous, who get no push. So why don't we just push them if we need more Mexican stars?
That's doing more thinking than anyone else, basically.
5 seconds, probably so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the minis. I don't know. Every time WWE has done that one, because they brought the minis in. What year? Do you know what was yours? And they did it once or twice.
It would have been 97.
Remember with what did they call the guy? I mean, it was Zuki, but they called him by a different name, Max Mini, right?
There was Max Mini, and there was like Mini Vader.
Mini Vader, who was, and they called him Torito sometimes too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they brought them in, and and Max Mini was really good, but he turned out to be, a comedy figure, and it meant nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, we'll see. Times are a-changing fast, which we knew was going to happen. It's going to happen for the rest of this year, and there's going to be a lot of big changes. Okay, Shamrock Sakuraba.
Oh, Shamrock.
You think so?
Well, I think so because I think in a lot of ways they're very similar, and I think that Shamrock's going to be much bigger, and I think that the weight that Sakuraba's gained is going to work against him, and I think they're both beaten up, but I think Shamrock's going to pull it off.
Going to be interesting. I mean, that's the one that nobody wants to predict the outcome of.
Really? Well, I did.
Yeah, Mirko Krokop and Josh Barnett.
I'm going to say Krokop.
I will too.
I have not seen Barnett fight in a year.
Well, no one else has either.
Yeah, and last time he got hurt, who knows how he is, so I'm not going to bet against Krokop.
The issue on the Ultimate Warrior that I did about a week ago, which is one of the best issues of the year, and if you got the DVD, you pretty much have to get that issue because it answers all the questions from the DVD. And anyway, did you read that issue?
Yeah, it was very good.
Oh, thank you very much.
Especially as a man who grew up on the Ultimate Warrior.
The what?
A man who grew up on the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, that's true. That's right. You did. He was your favorite wrestler when you were a kid.
Yeah.
So what did you think?
Well, I knew I should say no. I knew everything, but I knew Warrior was crazy. So.
Well, that's not a secret.
How
about Vince? I mean, there was stuff in there on Vince that I had to lie. There was a lot of stuff there on Vince when you put it all in perspective. It was just a very interesting look at Vince's perception. But you know what it says, and it's something that we've talked about a million times. If you sign a contract, if Vince signs you to a contract on his terms, then he expects you to uphold it. But if Vince signs a contract, but he's unhappy with the contract, in his mind he believes that he doesn't have to be held to that contract.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which is kind of a unique way of looking at things. But we've seen that one more than once.
Let's talk about the Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman started on SmackDown on Friday night, which probably nobody saw because people stopped watching SmackDown. And he was there.
He was there.
He was there in red paint, and they tried to blame it on UPN, so if he flops, it's UPN's fault.
Well, the one thing I was entertained about was the fact that at least there's a built-in excuse for why he can't work.
Yeah.
He's not a wrestler. He's an actor.
Yeah.
An actor on a failed sitcom, apparently, or he lost his mind or something.
Who plays the Boogeyman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the strangest thing. And especially when you have the network guy going, show him what you can do. And that was being the Boogeyman.
Yeah.
That's his gimmick.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was excited to see that in an upcoming Ohio Valley, it's the Boogeyman versus Blaster Lashley.
I've already seen that.
How is it?
It's only 2 minutes, and
I have an intense desire to see that match.
It's nothing to see. I mean, it wasn't like it was terrible or anything. It was just 2 minutes. It was very choreographed to where
I'm stunned.
To where nothing really could have gone wrong and nothing did go wrong.
Yeah.
The last OVW, the one that you'll be seeing next, a lot of short matches and long promo segments and things like that. I mean, storyline-wise, very good. I mean, no wrestling to speak of. Now, did you see the 30-minute Ken Doan Albright match?
Yes, and this is what I've got to say. We are on completely different pages with Ohio Valley lately.
Uh-huh.
I cannot handle these 30-minute matches.
I liked that one.
Oh, my gosh. It was going along fine, and then sort of at about the 20-minute mark when they did the first restart, I was going, this is starting to drag a little. And then by about the third restart or whatever it was, I was dying for something to happen. It was too long for my short attention span.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that one.
But, I mean, this is what I will say about Ohio Valley Entertainment. Everybody has a purpose. There seems to be a point to everything that's happening. Some of these matches are too long for me, and it makes the show seem to drag.
Well, every match with Shelly Martinez is too long.
I'll take your word for it. I don't think I've seen her in the ring yet.
They're never long, but they're just too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. and they're bringing people up left and right. Oh, no, you didn't see the blonde bombers aren't blonde anymore.
Well, they're the streaked bombers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something else.
But I mean, to me, one of the appeals of Chad Toland,
is that he's Chad,
and he has that 1970s pro wrestler hairdo.
Yep.
And then they brought him up, and he looks different from everybody else. And they brought him up, and then the first thing they do is they
had to make him current.
They cut his hair, and then they made him look like everybody else in the roster.
Yep.
So now he's just another short bodybuilder. Like, they've got tall bodybuilders all over the place. And really, I mean, standing there when he was on that thing, he was just a short guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing, no look, no nothing, just done.
Maybe they're going to be the next in the junior division.
I don't think so.
They're close. They're 5 inches above the limit.
Yeah, I know, but I don't see that. Although maybe they'll.
He looks like Dave Draper, or he used to.
Chad?
Yeah, remember Dave Draper?
Oh, I know Dave Draper.
Yeah.
He's from Santa Cruz. Yeah, I mean, a little bit, I guess.
He sort of had that look going on.
Yeah, in the 60s.
Not Dave Draper today.
No. No. Hey, Hunter was at the Olympia last night.
Yes, he was. He doesn't know who, God, now I forgot, too.
What?
Johnny Swinger. That poor guy. No one remembers him.
Johnny Swinger, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. They asked Hunter about Johnny Swinger, and he didn't know who he was, and oh well. That nice career guy.
Sucks to be him.
He sure does. Okay, we're going to Mitch in Berkeley. Mitch, what's going on?
Hey, how are you guys?
Doing really good.
Good. I've been pretty jaded on the product. How are you guys doing?
We're doing fine.
Yeah?
I actually can't hear Mitch, so if anyone is listening that can help me.
Okay.
Just let him know that everything I'm saying is just fantastic, and that if every caller could encompass what I encompass, that...
Well, you better say something to follow that.
Well, let me tell you this. I just want to know, is there any chance that TNA would take Ross? No, because they probably would. Is there any chance that Ross would go to TNA and that could happen?
That's a weird one. I'm sure that no matter what happens, it couldn't happen now.
Right.
Because no matter what happens, if he isn't brought back, there's going to be that non-compete thing going on.
Right.
Plus, he's having surgery this week. So he ain't going to be ready for a while. So nothing's going to happen imminently. I would, you never say never. I would say less than 50%, though.
But you think that's based on the way that they're playing it on the website that they're going to work him back in somehow? That's your,
I have thought all week he's coming back, and people who know far more about it than me are insisting that this time I'm wrong. So we'll find out.
Wow.
Time will tell.
I can just say in Ross's defense that that wrestling can be without Ross. I mean, everyone is just stunned.
Yeah, what's funny is like they.
My wife is stunned, Dave.
You know what? My wife is stunned too.
About what?
That there could be Raw on Monday night and Jim Ross really would never be on it again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that's one of the few constants is that voice.
Right.
And I mean, it's the funniest part of the whole thing is, again, like, no matter what ends up happening, the bottom line is they did want him gone. I mean, that's not even a question. And it boggles my mind because they're like pointing at the wrong, the wrong thing's wrong with the show.
Right.
It's like, oh my God.
Well, that's Vince's whole thing. He's always finding something that's wrong that's not the issue.
Yeah, because
the dress code.
Well, was Ross out because of his presentation or because he moved to Oklahoma and didn't stay in Greenwich?
I mean, everything plays a part in it. I can't say it's any one thing, and I'm sure there's 10 more things just like that.
Right.
I think that the age thing, I'm sure moving didn't help. I'm sure, they got a love-hate relationship, and there's people in that family that wanted him out real bad for a long time, and it's just one of those things where.
So he's not doing any more work in the office. He's not doing any.
Well, he can't. I mean, John Laurinaitis took over his office work this week. So but I mean, as far as like again, we'll find, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, we're going to know. Well, actually, there's a pretty good chance that this week or next week we'll know because if they just do nothing but talk about it on TV tomorrow, then you got to figure it's an angle. if they like mention it once and then like just move on, that's an indication that it's probably not an angle.
Right, like the Hogan thing.
But it depends on and then the week after. I mean, you'll be able to see the signs of how they do it. If they bring the midget out dressed like Jim Ross, that's not a sign that he's coming back because they did that with Bret Hart.
Because that's Bret Hart, right?
Yeah. Which, by the way, I watched Wrestling with Shadows the other night because a couple of friends wanted to see it. Oh boy.
What's that supposed to mean?
Oh, every time you watch it, you notice something new. That's all.
I see.
Yeah.
Well,
perspective.
Is there anything to look forward to in WWE as far as angles and programs right now? Because I'm completely, utterly.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
There's nothing on the horizon that sounds good to you.
Well, I mean, let's see. The next pay-per-view is going to have Ric Flair and Triple H. I've got to presume Ric Flair is going to do a great interview tomorrow night.
Yeah, me too.
He better, because if he doesn't, because Triple H's interview was all right, but I thought it needed to be a little bit better.
It needs to be accelerated, absolutely.
Yeah. So
we've seen that a million times, more or less.
Yeah, but that program's something different and new, and so hopefully that'll be good. Hopefully, I don't know. I mean, things always happen, things change.
And what about TNA? Will the Dudleys, are they going to add AMW in 3D, or are they going to build up to that for a while and have them do a run-in at the pay-per-view? What's
they can't beat the pay-per-view. They're in Japan, so they're not going to beat the pay-per-view this week. But obviously they're going to do a match, sooner than later.
And they'll build it up.
Yeah.
Does 3D? Are they signed to TNA, or are they just going to be an occasional thing?
No. They're signed, but they also have commitments in Japan, so they're not going to be full-time.
And would you think that the TNA would take Ross if they could get him, or do they have because it seems like they take any of the ex-guys, or do they have the philosophy that, hey, we want to build these unknown guys that are fantastic instead of, reaping off these old guys? But I don't know what the philosophy is.
If it's available, I don't know that he would go. And it's a real weird thing because the spot that Ross would get if he goes would be Mike Tenay's spot, and Mike Tenay's got a lot of power there right now,
well,
and he's really good.
Right. I mean, they couldn't add Ross in there, or and have a three-way, or get rid of West. West is okay. I just don't believe him because I saw him selling baseball cards. I know he's a good guy. I know Tanner vouches for him. I know Jared vouches for him. I mean well when I say this, and I like the guy, and he's trying hard, but I can't believe him because he sold snake oil for 3 years.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. I got to say this that. The one thing you can say is that in the 3 years he's been there, he's improved a whole lot more than a lot of other people have in the last 3 years.
You've got to be talking about Don West, and I don't even know what you're talking about.
We're talking about Don West as an announcer. That's right.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate the time.
Okay. We're going to go to Ed in San Antonio. Ed, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Dave, first off, let me apologize for making a mistake on the Shane twins instead of the Tolan.
Okay, no problem.
I had just never seen either team, and when they came out, they looked so similar. I thought I just assumed they were the Shane twins.
Yeah. On the SmackDown tapings last night. I mean, they're on a Friday night, yeah.
Got the penis costumes on?
I guess without them, nobody would recognize them, right?
That's right.
Yeah, they look exactly alike, the Shane twins, even without the costume. Unfortunately, they probably will be up sooner than later also.
But I am glad it is the Tolans. I'm looking, forward to them a lot more.
You should look forward to them more than the Shane twins. I will say that.
And I thought SmackDown was a really good show. It's a shame that they didn't have shows like this leading up to the pay-per-view. They probably have some more buy rates coming their way, but I thought it was a good start to kick things off. They set up new feuds. Everything looked pretty good.
Yeah, they got stuff set up for Tuesday, with Booker T and Chris Benoit with Charmel in the middle, and what was the other one?
Matt Hardy on the Peep Show.
Yeah, Matt Hardy's going to debut on SmackDown this week, and then the Batista and Eddie Guerrero against the Ortons, which actually, I don't know about that one. That one's I don't know how good that's going to be, but if it, maybe it'll be the angle where Eddie turns on Batista, maybe.
What they did on SmackDown is like when they cut off the TV, they went straight. They actually had the tag match, and
right.
It really wasn't that great. I mean, it was cool seeing Bob, sell like he used to, but it only lasted a couple minutes, and Bob was mainly in there.
Yeah.
And
why would that be?
I'm sorry?
Why would that? I mean, if Brandy and Bob are teaming, you would think that Randy should be in most of the match.
Yeah, well, I guess, like I say, it only lasted a few minutes. I guess they just wanted to go ahead and finish it up and leave on a high note, you know.
Yeah.
Crowd, and they just did one spot where Batista accidentally hit Eddie, and Eddie was kind of like, you know, what was up, but didn't lead to anything, and then they ended up winning the match with a frog splash.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that's what's going to happen. I'm pretty sure it's not going to last more than 4 or 5 minutes on this coming show.
Yeah, I think that it's got to be the big angle because they're doing a Batista-Eddie Guerrero rematch, and if they're doing one, they can't go in with the same build-up as the last one. I mean, they just cannot do that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and another thing I want to talk about from SmackDown is when you see somebody on TV and they're really big and jacked up, it's impressive, but I gotta say, when you're like within 15 feet of somebody like Bobby Lashley, I mean, that just blew my mind. He just was so physically imposing and impressive.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember the first time. You remember the first time he showed up, Bobby Lashley, on OVW, Brian?
Yes.
I mean, it was just like, wow.
He was about 15 feet tall, remember that?
Yeah, they shot him well, too, because they made him look like he was like 6'4". And I remember just looking at him going like, oh, my God, this guy is going to be a superstar for sure. And
then he shrunk.
He shrunk, but, you know, they also brought him up too fast.
That's true.
You know, which is funny because Big Dave even said that.
He did.
Yeah, he said they brought him up too fast. And he's a guy who would know because they brought him up too fast, too. Although I guess he doesn't have many good things to say about OVW.
Well, they've done a good job with Lashley so far.
Yeah. They haven't.
They could have really. It's going to be hard to screw him up.
Well, yeah, also because he's the kind of guy they love.
Yeah.
You know, so that helps too.
Yeah.
Especially if he keeps throwing people out of the ring like he did to Nunzio. I mean, that was just such an awe from the crowd when he did that because we were like I say about 15.
Yeah, went awesome for Nunzio.
Yeah, from my angle, it looked like Vito was supposed to catch him because it looked like he put his arm up and then he went after.
I don't know. I think that I don't know. I don't think he was supposed to. I don't know. I watched that spot. Brian, did you see SmackDown?
I did.
Do you think that he was supposed to catch him on that spot?
You know what? I think he was.
Okay.
But I think what happened was...
But boy, because he sure didn't come close.
I think what happened was very early on he realized he was out of position, like as Nunzio was falling.
He was way out of position.
And I think that he sort of just realized, I'm not going to lunge for it to make it look like I screwed up. There's no way I'm getting him, so I'm sorry.
Well, nice.
That's sort of what it looked like. I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's nice of your Nunzio waiting for someone to catch you and then being caught by the floor.
I mean, that was pretty sick. I mean, I was right there. But overall, you know, hopefully SmackDown will go in a good direction. It needs to. I mean, it's been such a lame duck for like almost 2 months, maybe.
Yeah, more than that. And I tell you what, also the ratings on Friday now. You know, it was like we talked about. It's got to be when we get to October, we're going to see what it really is. The early ratings didn't mean anything. Now we're in October, and it ain't good. It is not. It's not good. The Raw number. I think the Raw number. I said it was going to be tomorrow's Raw number. That's the one that counts. But I think that there might be a little bit of curiosity coming from the Jim Ross thing, and they may get one more good rating. But whatever, I think a week from tomorrow, most likely whatever that number is, will be kind of indicative of where it's going to fall, which may be slightly higher than slightly higher than it was on Spike. Not much. God. I sent Brian earlier this week the new updated numbers of homes that are Spike and USA Network.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a funny thing because basically the number is like exactly the same. I mean, there's like actually Spike's on more
not
because
even exactly the same as in 87 to 88 million.
No. It's like 10,000 off.
Yeah.
But actually, there's more homes that get Spike because of Canada, but that's irrelevant because Spike was preempted because of TS. I mean, the wrestling was preempted because of TSN. But basically, as far as like the number of homes available, the exact same homes get USA that get Spike, and there's no difference. And I don't know why, well, I do know why, but it's just like one of those things that they say, like their TV commercial about Raw being the highest rated commercial. I mean, the Raw from the third being the highest rated Raw in 3 years, when in fact it was the highest rated Raw in 3 months.
Well, they have no problem with stretching the truth.
Yeah, well, that's true. Oh my God! Oh, the other thing.
Yes. Dave, I had one more thing before I go.
Okay.
Do we know if they're signing the minis and stuff to contracts, or could they just be coming in for like a one-night thing and have a six-man?
They're wanting to sign them to contracts.
Okay. Yeah, I was just kind of worried they were going to be sent to the boogeyman, or something.
They might be. Actually, now that you bring it up, SmackDown, I can see that one.
He can work with the minis, lucha style.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for taking my call, guys.
Okay. Very good.
What were you going to say now? You were very excited about something.
Oh, yeah. Brian, the other thing you got to look out for is the Morphoflex commercial, which you're probably going to see 100 times in the next month. Not the one on this show, but the one on TNA.
Is it a good one?
Oh, you just have to see it.
Does it feature Larry?
Oh, Larry's all over it, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I'm excited then.
But the closing line is the line, boy. I'll just tell you that. So watch out for that closing line. Anyway, we're going to go to Sam in Ohio. Sam, what's happening?
Not much, man. Just wondering, what's your guys' opinion on the mini thing? Because I just think it's an awful move.
It probably will be.
Mm-hmm.
But number one, because they don't know how to, their history has shown that they don't know how to do it. And number two,
they got the wrong ring.
That's a good one. And and you know what else, Brian? They don't even know. No one's in that company has probably even figured that one out about the ring.
That's terrifying because that's the very first thing I thought of.
Yeah, I know. When you said that, there was someone who I talk with all the time, and we were because usually what we usually do every day is kind of come up with things in TNA and WWE and kind of things that we kind of come up with in 10 seconds, and we wait the month before they figure it out. And this was your example when you said about the ring. It's like, man, they're never going to figure that out. And you got it the minute you saw. The minute you saw that news story, you emailed me right back. What about the ring?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure that to this day they haven't figured that out yet. And they won't until someone slips and falls on their head.
Yep, which may happen tomorrow.
Or Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I mean, time will tell. We'll see how they do it. I mean, history is not kind to their portrayal of small guys. And, Vince's sense of humor when it comes to minis is just, to have them play the roles of children. And it's okay for a few times, and it gets old real fast. But we'll see. We'll see what happens this time.
I remember 4 weeks ago, I think it was Raw. They had Viscera. Didn't they have Viscera team up with a mini? And then
it was longer than that, but yeah, they had that with a weird name. Yeah.
Oh my God, I totally forgotten about that.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? They'll probably have him work with the Mexicans.
Yeah, he's a mini.
He's a mini. Yeah. Oh my God.
I was just dead in that whole match, if I remember right.
Oh yeah. Well, that was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see if that's the answer to the ratings woes of SmackDown is bringing minis in every week.
Yeah. And maybe everyone now is too big.
It's Dave's fault. Anything else, Sam?
Yeah. There was another name thrown around the JR thing. That was Joey Styles.
Yes.
Is there any chance he would come to Raw?
Well, I don't want to say there's no chance, but I've been told there's no chance. Sometimes when you're told there's no chance, it ends up happening anyway. But he did not make, it's a very political situation there, as everyone knows, and he did not make any friends at all there. And he doesn't make any friends regularly on his website with them. So I would say, really, the odds are real long. There was a point in June where it was certainly considered that he was going to inherit that spot, and that thinking ended very fast. There's a lot of people that just don't want to work with him. So I would say, strongly unlikely, but we'll see.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. All right, we are going to go to Alan in Deerfield Beach. Alan, what's happening?
Hey, Dave, how's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Is Austin and Hogan going to happen at WrestleMania?
Obviously Hogan wants it. I mean, I don't think it's 100% locked in stone, if that's what you mean, but I think Vince wants it. I think that Hogan wants it, and I think Austin has said he'll go for it, so I think it's probably going to happen, yeah.
Are they close? Because I heard that Keller, I don't know if you're, I don't want to dispute your sources or whatever. He said there was heat between Austin and Hogan.
Well, there has been in the past,
right?
But not. I mean, certainly in the past there was a lot, but I know that Austin is willing to work with him. Now, as far as finish goes, we've talked about it on the show many times, for months about this potential match. And I mean, the reality is I don't know what they do for a finish, and I think that's going to be. I believe that's going to end up being a touchy subject.
I have an old school question, real quick. Bruno Sammartino and Larry Zbyszko worked Wrestle Reunion too. That little schmaz or whatever the hell they did.
Yeah.
Are they close friends or what's?
Oh no, not at all, not at all.
Is tension?
Yeah, they don't. They rarely talk. I mean, it's not like I don't think they hate each other, but they don't. I think Larry might talk to him. I don't know, almost never.
Almost never.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
Zbyszko was on the show. They haven't been close since that angle in 1980, believe it or not. You know, just the way everything went down, and
right.
Yeah, they just haven't been close.
Really? So I mean, when he worked that thing, I mean, was it genuine heat, or you don't know?
Oh, I think that they were willing to work together. You know, I mean, lots of people don't like each other that work together, so I don't think that has anything to do with that. But no, they're not close. I mean, obviously at one point they were when Larry was 21, 22 years old. That was 30 years ago.
Wow.
And I don't think they've been close for And the match was 25 years ago, so I don't think they've been close for 25 years.
Really? And just another question, real quick. Orndorff said the way he acted towards Hogan at the Hall of Fame. I mean, what was behind that? Is it an angle or what? What is it?
It wasn't an angle. I just think that Paul was in a bad mood at that moment. And
they really not close either. Or?
I don't think that they're close, but I don't know that they. I just think that Orndorff probably thought he was being inducted into the Hall of Fame and didn't realize that it was just the Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper show, and he was just to be in the background.
There's been heat with them? No.
I never heard of major heat with Hogan and Orndorff. No, and I just think that it might have been. I think it was more Orndorff being in a bad mood at that moment, more than any heat or anything like that.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go to Armando in Yuma, Arizona. Armando, what's going on?
Hey, Dave and Brian, how you guys doing?
Doing great.
I wanted to ask you, how likely is it that Mystico will come in?
A lot more likely today than it was 3 days ago. They want him. That was a name. I mean, they want him specifically. They want him in Sacramento tomorrow night. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what has happened as far as if they've contacted him yet. I mean, they've had a couple of days, so I'm guessing that in a couple of days they could find him. So yeah.
Remember when they did Super Astros and they didn't think Santo could work?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're gonna think the same thing when they see Mystico.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But
who would they bring in to work with them, or
that I think they want him to assimilate into
the WWF style?
Yeah, they do. They would want that. Yeah.
That's horrible.
I know, but they'll find out.
But who do they want him match? Who, like, if he did come in tomorrow, who would they match him up against?
Oh, I have no idea.
Or would they bring somebody else in?
Yeah, they might bring somebody else in, or they might, I don't know who's small. Tajiri, maybe Tajiri.
Yeah.
I mean, because Tajiri has worked lucha style.
Yeah, he'd be pretty good.
They might have a really good match. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other ones that they want to bring in, like Wagner or?
I mean, I'm sure there's many others. I just don't know. I mean, Mystico, the Minis, and what was this? Porky were the ones that I've heard. And there's a couple of others that I didn't hear the names of.
He'd blow them away with his charisma. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I just don't know about Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon and Porky's going to be one that I would. Although, I mean, he'll love him. He'll love him, and then he'll be revolted by him.
Yeah.
Very shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
So.
I want to see it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Porky's always good for once.
Yeah.
So.
All right, guys. Thanks. Good job on both of you guys' newsletters.
Oh, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Our guest, Samoa Joe, who's had some of the best matches in years. Three-way match on the last TNA pay-per-view with AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels was perhaps the best match in TNA history, right up there for sure. And then October the 1st in New York, singles match with Kenta Kobashi, which we mentioned before we haven't seen, but there are people who are touting it as the match of the year. Atmosphere off the charts. And then this coming Sunday, he's going to be facing Jushin Liger on the TNA Bound for Glory pay-per-view. So what's going into this month, you're going to be, going in, you knew you were going to be wrestling against two of the real, modern legends of Japanese wrestling, but in the United States. And what did that mean to you, and what were you thinking going in?
My thoughts going in were, I just, I wanted to make the most out of the opportunities that were kind of put in front of me. And, I just had with Kobashi, it kind of came together all perfect. And, with Liger, I hope the same thing kind of comes about. So, I mean, it's definitely kind of a put up or shut up type of deal where you're given two really great opponents, and you really hope that you make the most out of it.
What's been your thoughts as far as you went to TNA? I mean, you had a chance to go to WWE, and it's one of those things where when you make a big rep as an indie guy, and then you go to what I guess would be considered a bigger promotion. there's always that skepticism of you've never proven anything, and are you really as good as your rep? And you did a real good job in the match, like with Chris Sabin, of kind of shutting everybody up right away. But did you feel a lot of pressure walking into TNA?
I felt a lot of pressure, but not necessarily from like outside forces. I mean, it was kind of more personal pressure because, I mean, exactly like you said, I knew going in that if you're an indie guy with with the indie rep and that can be very deceiving and oftentimes can be kind of a bad investment for companies. So I mean, even going into negotiation with TNA, I told them, hey, listen, I want you guys to be ecstatic when you hand me my paycheck every week, and I mean, so far they have been, and I mean, if there was any pressure, it was kind of self-imposed.
Okay, was that your first time in Australia, the last tour?
It's my first time visiting the country. I had a great time and had a lot of fun. I mean, it was an interesting tour, but the fans were really receptive down there, and I was really surprised at how many people actually had known me or had ever seen any of my work.
Did a lot of people talk to you about matches from TNA or Ring of Honor or?
A lot of surprising number of Ring of Honor fans down there, and a good number of TNA fans. And I mean, a lot of them had seen the three-way with me and Chris and AJ, and they loved it. So I mean, I guess it was kind of a nice precursor to going over there. It helped me out a bit, I guess.
So now did they get it from tapes, or because I don't think TNA's pay-per-views play in Australia?
Yeah, I don't think so either. I had to been through the tape circuit, if anywhere.
Wow. Now, a lot of people have asked me to ask you this one. What is going on, if anything, as far as going to Japan?
It's kind of been an up in the air thing. I mean, I'm still real good friends with Simon Inoki, and I know he's trying real hard to change things around for New Japan and their financial situation. But there have been offers, but at the same time, no real interest. And I mean, nothing that would pull me away from my U.S. commitment. So I mean, unless I can get something worthwhile to go over there. I mean, I don't see myself going over there anytime soon.
Okay. So
didn't clips already air of that match on Japanese TV?
I think Samurai aired some clips from it and stuff. Mostly recap show stuff. They have a big recap show at the end of the night, and I think that's about it. But I know that they had their camera crews there filming, and they're waiting. I know for a fact that I think last time I spoke to Gabe that they're waiting for a cut of the match from ROH because they want to use the camera shoot that they did.
Oh, really? Yeah, because I think that there was a date that one of the stations was going to air the Kobashi match. And I thought it was the middle of this month.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. As far as going, what has been? Has anything been a big surprise to you going to TNA, and what's the feeling like now that you really are on Spike? I mean, the last couple of weeks, and it's kind of nothing short of a gigantic step for the company.
A huge step for them, and I mean, the only surprises were how well things have gone so far. I mean, I thought there would be some definite stumbling blocks in the beginning. I think I had a real fear that the way I like to wrestle wasn't really going to be liked too much by people in the TNA office. But I mean, they've been real adamant about kind of just letting me do my thing and do it the way I do it, and figure out matches and get into things the way I want to get into them. And I mean, it's been invaluable, and I've really enjoyed the opportunity to work there so far and be able to do that.
As far as the three-way from the last pay-per-view, I mean, going in, was it the match that you expected? Was it better than you expected coming out of it, or what were your kind of thoughts on that?
It was better than what I expected. I mean, going in, I find myself a real horrible three-way wrestler. I mean, it's my personal opinion. I can do okay in them, but I don't think I really excel in them. And but getting in there with AJ and Chris, who they can really put together great three-ways, and we just kind of worked in stuff that we thought would work in the match, and it was really a group effort. Just between the three minds, kind of spinning stuff around. The match came off relatively well.
As far as we were talking, I know you were a big fan of MMA. I mean, is there anything that's been going on in MMA that you've kind of looked at or kind of trying to take or something like that, or try to incorporate into what your style?
Yeah, I mean, you see all the trends. I guess maybe a year and a half ago was really working, knees from the ground, and that was a big deadly thing. Now you have, these great side chokes by Nogueira he's pulling out, and I mean, there's there's all kinds of neat stuff. I mean, if anything, I'd love to use 22 million things that I see as far as, you know, MMA techniques, but in reality, I mean, it's pro wrestling, and there's different ways to showcase things in matches, and sometimes it just doesn't work out that way, where, you know, pro wrestling fans really couldn't pick up the intricacies of what's going on that they're on the mat without, you know, kind of having a good view of it. So, I mean, it's anything specific, no. I just, you know, sometimes I just kind of see situations or the way things are set up and the way things happen in kind of MMA fights and stuff, and I kind of try to incorporate that over to the, you know, my pro wrestling, and you know, it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. It's all kind of a big experimentation process, I guess.
Were you? I know there were some. I don't know if rumors are the best way to call them, but that you were thinking of perhaps getting out of the business before the TNA thing came down.
Yeah, I was thinking about taking a considerable amount of time off. I mean, I think it's pretty stupid to say retirement or I'm getting out of the business and quitting, because, you know, it never really happens and you look like an absolute fool when you come back about 4 months later. But, I was thinking about taking some time off and just kind of, you know, digging in and I guess doing some honest work for a living and kind of get my financial situation a little bit better. Even though I was making a living working indies, you know, I was doing well for myself, and I wasn't doing as well as I would like. And I mean, in general, I like to think I have a broader worldview than just my wrestling career. And you know, but you know, then the TNA offer came up, and a lot of other opportunities and stuff, and you know, here I am still doing what I love to do.
No. Now, are you tight with Bryan Danielson?
Yeah.
Okay, because at somewhat similar time, I think he was going through that. I mean, is there a mentality thing where, you know, here you are, you basically reached the epitome of the indie level, and you're having great matches, and does it frustrate? Did it at that time, let's say, frustrate you that, wow, you know, I'm doing this, I probably couldn't do much better, and no one's calling me, and you know, what's this? You know what I mean? Does that ever?
I don't really think it was so much of a disappointment in, why am I, you know, I feel I'm, you know, doing all this great work and I'm not getting, you know, the opportunities that I want. I think it was just more of kind of looking at the industry as a whole and kind of saying, well, you know, where are there a lot of opportunities to make money, or, you know, to build that kind of that name up with companies that, you know, will be able to support you financially and give you kind of a financially viable option to make a living off, you know, wrestling. And I just didn't see a lot. You know, I like I said, I like to try to keep my head pretty grounded and kind of, you know, look at my situation as a whole, and I just didn't see a lot of opportunities in pro wrestling at the time to make, you know, the amount of money that I would want to be making. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that has changed drastically, but, you know, since then, but, I mean, that was kind of the real basic, driving force behind me wanting to take time off. And I think that is very much the same case with Bryan Danielson. I mean, just talking to him, Bryan is, you know, a super intelligent guy. I mean, you know, he's going back to school now, you know, really wants to finish up and get his degree. And you know, I think that was kind of the same driving factor to him, was where he just didn't see a lot of opportunity for, like, a young guy, no matter how vaunted on the indies or how decorated he is, to make a real decent living at pro wrestling.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame when you put so much into the craft. I mean, you know, obviously you two, you know, to get to the level that you've gotten, you know, put more into it. You know, I mean, it doesn't come by accident. You know, I mean, you have the ability, of course, but, you know, no one gets great in this business, you know, through, you know, without the hard work. And,
nobody gets great through osmosis. I've tried, trust me.
What do you think was the key, you know, as far as, you know, when you started out, you were, you know, you started out with UPW. What caused, or what is there any certain thing that happened, maybe going to Japan or something, that made you kind of change your style to this style?
Going to Japan had a lot to do with it. I mean, when I went there, some of the concepts that they kind of stress in pro wrestling, as far as ideals and what they want to get across, are different than, you know, what we see here in the U.S., where it's, you know, it's more structured to a heel babyface type of dynamic, and it is to an extent in Japanese wrestling too, more than people want to give it credit for. But at the same time, you know, kind of like the you know, you've heard it a million times, Tokan, strong style, whatever. I mean, it's just kind of the whole idea of fighting spirit, and you know, I found something appealing about that, and I found it kind of natural to kind of gravitate towards that style of wrestling and try to express that in the things that I do in the ring. And I mean, I think I've had to modify it a bit to, you know, to fit, you know, American taste, but you know, I just kind of hope I'm doing a good enough job, and I just kind of want to continue kind of, like I said, I'm a big experimenter, and for every, good match people see me in, I'm sure there's about 3 more kind of real weird out there matches because I was trying something new, and it's just, it's a process of trial and error, but hopefully you get it right and it clicks with the audience and everybody enjoys it.
Do you have any opponents in TNA that, like, they've been putting you in with, I guess it's, like Sabin and Daniels and Styles a lot. Are there any opponents like the guys that you see on the roster that you're really looking forward to getting a chance to wrestle?
Yeah, I've said this a few times to different people, and I mean, Monty Brown is a guy that I think I don't know, I kind of see like a lot of potential to kind of do something really cool there with him. I'd love to get in there and work with Jeff a bit, and all the X Division guys. I mean, that's kind of like a no-brainer. I mean, they're acclimatized to it, and I mean, I've been wrestling guys like them for the past 2 or 3 years. Guys, a lot of the young, hungry guys who just kind of taking a more innovative approach, I guess, to wrestling. At the same time, I like to get in there with with I guess some of the more traditional heavyweights and some of the the more veteran guys in the company just to see what I can produce with them.
Is this the first time you're going to wrestle Jushin Liger?
Yes.
Okay. When was what would have been when you first became familiar with him? Did you watch him on tapes, or was it maybe I don't know? I think you've met him before at the dojo, right?
Yeah. I've met him before at the dojo and spent about a week with him, and helping do his training seminar and stuff. So, and I met him a few times actually before that too. So, I mean, as far as becoming familiar with him, I think I saw him in WCW a while back, and then of course when I started working for New Japan and watching more Japanese stuff, I mean, you see a tremendous amount of him.
What happened with the LA dojo?
It's still going. The focus is off it now because Simon's, he spends most of his time in Japan, working there. So, it's still going. There's still, training guys out there. I believe Kendall Kashin's, heading up operations down there with Dave Marquez. So, they're still floating. It's just a lot of the guys that were formerly there are really, really busy kind of working now. So it's roster's changed down there a bit.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to Joe. First, you're going to be first up in Colonia, New Jersey with Joe. John in Colonia, New Jersey. John, what's going on?
Hi, Dave. Hi, Samoa Joe. Big fan. I've seen you
Oh, we can't hear him.
John, you have to speak up, and they may not be able to hear you, but I'll give the question to Joe if he can't hear you. So go ahead.
Okay, I just want to ask Samoa Joe, out of all the Japanese wrestlers he knows of, who would he most like to face other than Liger and Kobashi, obviously?
Okay, he wants to know if, aside from Liger and Kobashi, are there any Japanese wrestlers off the top of your head that you would really like to face?
Yeah, a guilty pleasure of mine is Tenryu, and I'd love to wrestle him. I'd really like to wrestle Sasaki at some point. I've really been liking some of the stuff he's been doing recently, especially since he became a freelancer and kind of reinvigorated himself and then reinvented himself. So I mean, those are kind of like I guess the 2 big names I would like to work in. I mean, a lot of people they say what about you and Kawada? I mean, that's kind of that's another one I'd really love to kind of get into and do.
Mm-hmm. John, anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. We're going to go to Rusty in New Jersey. Rusty, what's going on?
Hey, Joe. Can Joe hear me, or are you relating the questions, Dave?
Joe, can you hear me?
I can hear him. I can hear him.
Okay, good. Okay, speak
hey,
up.
Hey, Joe, it's Rusty.
Hey, what's up, Rusty?
Hey, what's up? I just wanted to say, number one, how bad did your chest feel after the Kobashi match in New York?
It was pretty raw. I won't lie to you. When I got to Australia, everybody kind of looked at me in horror because I busted blood vessels all over my chest, and it was pretty bad. But hey, that's the price you pay to get in there at the best and have a little bit of fun. So I mean,
it was one of the best matches I've ever seen, man. It was great.
Yeah,
and I just wanted to say real quick, another thank you publicly. Dave, you might not know this, of course you don't know this, but last year Joe put me and my wife on his guest list to see a show at the Rexplex because he knew we were broke, and took the time in his busy schedule to greet us and meet us before and after. You're a class act, man.
Thanks. Well, no problem, man.
I didn't know that.
Hey, well, now you know, Dave.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's really cool.
Cool. Later.
Okay.
Thanks for you, man.
All right, we're going to go to Todd in Staten Island, New York. Todd, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Going good.
Good.
Well, Joe, what's going on? I was at the October 1st show. I just wanted to say it was unbelievable. I felt it was, such a cheap shot. I felt we were almost cheating you because, it was such a cheap show. But do you feel like you're getting, it's a lot of pressure going on? You feel finding all these guys, or is it, is it an honor to work with everyone?
It definitely is an honor to get the opportunity to work against the Kobashi. I mean, that's just something not a lot of U.S. workers really are going to get the chance to do, especially in kind of like a showcase match where it's it's one-on-one and he's going to pull out all the stops, and he did. And I mean, as far as pressure, I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of pressure there, but at the same time, I mean, it's a pro wrestling match. It's what I do for a living, and I'm going to go out there and try to deliver on it and do what I do the best that I can. And I mean, I generally am happy with what me and Kobashi did in there, and I mean, I look forward to doing it again in the future. I mean, he was nice enough after the match to kind of look at me in private after we spoke after the show was over, and said that he definitely wanted to do it one more time in the U.S. because he had such a good time out here wrestling and stuff. So who knows? Maybe there's another one on the horizon.
Oh, that'll be amazing. Any chance he will be at the next New York Ring of Honor show?
Yeah, very good chance I'll be at but more 99.9% I'll probably be there.
All right, great. Can't wait to see you there. Everyone, keep up good work. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Like with Kobashi, do you think that he realized what he was going into? Because, I mean, again, I haven't seen the match that he had in Eldon, Missouri, which was the week before, but I'm presuming, the atmosphere was entirely different. I mean, it was, this was in front of an audience that knew completely who he was, as opposed to, just kind of being an anonymous Japanese wrestler who's, putting on a great match for the people. You know what I mean? It's the Ring of Honor thing because of the nature of those fans. I mean, did he know what he was in for as far as crowd reception, I guess?
No, I don't really think he did. I think he was expecting to come out here and he really had a I'm going to try my hardest type of attitude, and he came out and I had told him prior to the match we had a lunch meeting and I told him, I said through his translator, I said you're going to have a lot of fans here tonight, and like all Japanese guys, of course, they humbly were like, no, but he genuinely didn't believe that. He thought a few people might know him or some faces here and there, but he was you could tell he was genuinely amazed by the crowd reaction.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Gotta get rid. Well, okay, it's gone.
Go on.
Okay, go ahead, Joe.
Sorry, but he was genuinely amazed by the crowd reaction, and I think it really charged him up for the match that night.
Okay, we're going to go to Jason in Nashville. Jason, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going? I've been going to matches for 30 years. I just want to tell Joe I thought that was the best live match I'd ever seen. And
the Kobashi match?
Yes, absolutely.
You went from Nashville to New York to see it?
I sure did.
Wow. Hey, listen. I was kicking myself for not going myself because it's one thing when there's a match where it's surprising you don't know about it ahead of time, but I knew about it ahead of time, and I a week before Gabe was kind of telling me, you know what I mean? So it's like I can't say matches like that don't come along, every week or even every year, so But go ahead, Jason, I'm sorry.
Well, I'd never even seen Joe on tape or on television, and I mainly went for Kobashi, and I just, he more than held up his end, and which is a tremendous physical match, and besides his chest, I was wondering if he had any other injuries from the match, because he took a hellacious suplex right on his head, and I was just wondering if he had any other injuries from the match.
The neck was sore, for sure. I mean, when they say Kento Kobashi dumps you on your head, he does a damn good job of doing it.
Yeah, I have a question for Joe. Was it all three of the Ring of Honor Buffalo shows, and I've noticed that there's been a lot of problems with the fans in Buffalo, and I wonder, for Joe, what's an appropriate level of fan interaction with the talent?
I'll tell you right now, I threw out one fan personally because he was going to throw a bunch of junk in the ring that really had, it just was unexcusable. And then this last show, we had a fan that actually had hit one of the wrestlers during one of the six-way matches. And I mean, I'm overprotective to a fault of all my coworkers and stuff, especially when it comes to stuff like that. And that's an inappropriate level of fan interaction. I mean, you can come, you can boo, you can hiss, you can say anything you want, chant anything you want. That's all fine and dandy. But when it comes right down to it, the minute that, you know, you're doing stuff and it's actually affecting the wrestlers physically in the ring, or you come over the barricade, or you take a shot at a wrestler or anything like that, then, you know, you've overstepped your bounds. And I have no problem really, you know, letting people know that they've overstepped their bounds, and no matter what it takes to do that.
Where did your background as far as being a fan or as far as training with mixed martial arts start?
I grew up doing judo all my life under David Nueva out here in Garden Grove, and where his studio was. And I mean, judo was kind of like always a thing that I kind of grew up doing. And, you know, I was a California State junior athletic champion and stuff, and it's something I had a real big passion for. It was a lot of fun for me. You know, of course, when mixed martial arts kind of exploded on the scene and Gracie's and Jiu-Jitsu came about, I mean, it kind of piqued my interest because, you know, judo and Jiu-Jitsu do have a lot of similarities. Are so closely tied together. So, you know, it was really interesting to me. And, you know, when I first started out wrestling, I kind of just, you know, went with the flow and tried to, you know, just learn how to be a pro wrestler. And then, later on down the line, I started trying to kind of incorporate a few things here and there that I'd learned kind of growing up and training with various people. My main guy I train with now is Justin McCulley, who, you know, works with Team Punishment and trains Tito and stuff. And, it's, you know, it's kind of like a part-time pastime and hobby and passion for me.
Now, did you wrestle high school?
Yeah.
Were you someone mentioned to me that were you coached by like David Abbott's brother?
Yeah. Well, he was my football coach actually.
Oh, okay.
The funny thing about Tank is that his father was my teacher in high school.
Really?
And his older brother was one of my head football coaches growing up. So you know, and then of course, you know, everybody when you wrestled at the high schools around in Huntington Beach, everybody wrestled at Golden West College, and that's where, you know, guys like Tito and Tank and all those guys still worked out and all came up, and that's how that whole I guess Huntington Beach mixed martial arts scene kind of came about.
Now, you started out also with John Cena. Are you still in contact with him, or is his schedule just too busy now?
His schedule's crazy, but I mean, we still you know, shoot notes to each other every once in a while and check on each other, and you know, on occasion have the rare brief conversation. But I mean, I'm real happy for him. Like, he's doing great, and yeah, you know, whenever we get the chance, we definitely try to hook up and catch up and see how each other's doing.
Did you see the stardom in him pretty quick?
Yeah, but I mean, I saw it more from the fact that I know, you know, how hard of a worker John is, and John will, you know, he really, when he kind of gets a goal in his head, he keeps going after it till he, you know, achieves it one way or another. So I mean, I always knew John would go far in this business, but you know, I'm just on, you know, tenacity alone.
Yeah, because his schedule. I mean, people know his schedule. You know, he's wrestling 4 nights a week, but they don't realize that. You know, I mean, I know because I see the media stuff he's doing, and then, you know, having to promote when he had to promote the record. I mean, his schedule's insane.
Oh, I mean, you know, the wrestling schedule with WWE is hectic enough alone. But then you add on all these media appearances, promotions for his records, you know, the movie stuff he's been doing. I mean, he's a busy guy, but, you know, probably a lot more busy than anybody has any idea.
Yeah. We're going to go to Tony in Saugus, Massachusetts. Tony, what's going on?
Hey, Samoa Joe. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
We're doing good.
Quick question, Dave. Any word on Jim Ross? What's going on?
As far as he's having surgery on, I believe it is Tuesday, but I know it's during this coming week. He's having surgery on his colon, and he'll be out for a while. And then after that, I mean, seriously, it's anyone's guess. I mean, it's anyone's guess what's happening next.
Okay, and my next question was, I'm going to get to you, Samoa Joe. That'll be my last question. I'll save the best for last. Dave, do you think Vince McMahon, if he had other interests in life, do you think maybe he wouldn't be making some of the decisions he's making if he had maybe other hobbies? I think you mentioned it before. Do you think he reacts a little bit differently because the business is his life?
Well, you know, every part of your life affects how you make decisions. So, yeah, I mean, if he had different hobbies, he would, I think, I agree he would. You know, everything that you see kind of affects you. And so, yeah, you know, you're shaped by your surroundings. But at the same time, for him to have gotten where he has,
right? Yeah.
You know, I mean, if he had about 10 different hobbies and he was dividing time with them and not focusing on wrestling, I don't think that he would have been as successful at it. You know, but then again, those things that you learn from other places, you know, they can help you too. So it's, you know, there's there's both sides of the coin. I mean, it's good in some ways and it's not good in other ways.
And when they say he's a workaholic, I mean, he doesn't just think about creative. I mean, he's involved in all aspects of the business, right? I mean,
yeah.
About creative all day.
Yeah, Vince doesn't sleep much, if any, and and he's done this he's run the company since '82, so that's 23 years,
and he's never got burned out.
I wonder, I don't know the answer to that. If he's ever gotten burned out, logically one would think that there would have been times that he did, and and you can look at the creative ups and downs. I mean, there's certainly periods where he wasn't as good as other periods. So, I would think that you almost have to, with that kind of thing. I mean, no matter what, and no matter how successful you are. I mean, the most successful people that I've seen in any walk of life, and I'm not just talking about pro wrestling, but sports or anything, their drive is incredible.
Right, yeah.
But that drive also leads you to disappointment because you want it so bad, and it leads you, and eventually when you're going so hard at something, there's just going to be periods of burn. I mean,
right, exactly.
We talked, Joe earlier today. I mean, he had great year in the ring. I mean, just fantastic. But yet, you get that feeling that wow, I mean, is this what I want to do with the rest of my life? There's more to life than just wrestling. You start asking yourself these questions.
Yeah. And Samoa Joe, my question to you is: every week I read the Observer, and I read about how the Japanese media covers pro wrestling, and it's like a foreign world from the United States. How does the media treat you in Japan? I'm always curious how the Japanese media works over there.
The media cover it much like a sporting event. I mean, they're on site. They're doing interviews backstage with the wrestlers, and it's a much more formal process as far as the Japanese media compared to the American media, which is mostly self-created anyways within their promotion themselves. I'm lucky enough to have a pretty good rapport with a lot of reporters because of all the media work that we do with the dojo, and the reporters know me and I know all of them, so it works out nice.
And they protect the business, right, to every extent?
Yeah, for the most, yes.
And if something goes wrong, if something dies, I mean, they kind of cover it up so they don't expose the bad.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Yeah. It's very.
The Japanese media is different.
Yeah, it's a very tongue-in-cheek protection, and the way they write things and the way they word things, the people who are in the know what they mean, and people who don't kind of pass it off as
you can read between the lines there too.
Because we still don't know how Hashimoto died, right?
Didn't he die? I wrote the whole thing. I don't. That wasn't that big of a mystery. I think he had was it a heart attack, Joe?
That was, or an aneurysm, I believe.
Yeah, something. Yeah. Well, you knew him very well, didn't you?
Yeah, I knew him very well. I mean, worked under him, and I had a pretty good personal relationship with him. Like just person to person outside the ring and stuff. And I mean, it was a big shock when he died. And I like I said, I hadn't really agreed much with the way that he was currently handling things, especially when it came to 0-1 and vacating the company and all the scandal and stuff about that. But seeing him pass away was really rough.
And Joe, do you think maybe if there wasn't so many promotions in Japan, if they just whittled it down to maybe 3 or 4 instead of 50 days, that the business would increase because they'd have the bigger stars in all one group or a few groups? It seems like there's so many. It's unbelievable.
To an extent, I mean, I think that when you take a lot of these major names who have their political squabbles within promotions or whatever, and they for a job they start their own group. I mean, it definitely waters down the industry a bit as far as fan base in Japan. And I think the industry will definitely dictate the reconsolidation of talent as far as it goes in companies, and I think the expansion has brought on a lot of things, but for the most part, yeah, I think if there were less promotions in Japan and the stars were more focused and maybe a top 2 or 3 promotions, that business would be a lot better.
Well, Joe, congratulations on the Kobashi match. I mean, I haven't seen it, but you just seem like you're starting to get your due, and I'm glad you didn't quit the business.
Well, I'm glad I didn't either.
Great Ultimate Warrior issue, and thanks a lot.
Oh, thanks very much. Okay, he brought something up as far as like Japan and everything. When you were with Hashimoto, I mean, how much of kind of like the there's a similarity in the sense of, your portrayal is of a really tough guy and portraying, a more legitimate fight, not a lot of comedy in your presentation. And is everyone there?
Yeah.
Okay. And Hashimoto, that's similar to the role that Hashimoto played, and I mean, Hashimoto, of course, wasn't known for having great physique, and in a sense, the first time everybody sees you wrestle, for the first, 5 minutes or so, it's always like the physique, because you don't look like every other professional wrestler.
Absolutely not.
But once they start watching your match, no one, the physique thing goes away right away. But I mean, what have you taken from him, and do you look at yourself as far as in the ring as a performer, looking at Hashimoto as kind of like a role model of where you wanted to get?
I definitely picked up and learned a lot from him, especially with mannerisms and technique to an extent, but it was more, Hashimoto really was never about technique. I mean, he had one of the ugliest arm bars you'll ever see, and, his DDT was real nice, but I mean, definitely the way that he portrayed himself in the ring, the way that he conveyed himself to an audience is something that I kind of look upon, and it does inspire me. And it was kind of a precursor to kind of what I wanted to do as far as what I wanted to present in the ring. So, I mean, he does have a heavy influence in that aspect.
We're going to go to Carlo in West Haven. Carlo, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Doing good.
How you doing, Dave? I want to ask you a question. What happened to Tom Zink? I never hear from him anymore. He always used to, he had his long commentary for a while on his website where he bashed everybody and stuff, and he seems to be gone from the scene now.
He was silenced.
Yeah, he was silenced, I think, by WWE attorneys, maybe.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know that as a fact, but I presume that that's what happened. Yeah.
You heard anything from him, or?
I haven't heard from him. I haven't heard from him lately. No. I mean, I know he still keeps up with everything, though. So he's around. He's nothing bad has happened to him.
Really liked your article on the Ultimate Warrior.
Thanks.
I was wondering how much more of a draw was Sting than the Ultimate Warrior.
I don't know that Sting was ever. I mean, they're both. It's hard to say. I mean, obviously Sting had the longer career on top than Warrior because Warrior walked out so many times. But I mean, if you look at them, Sting at his peak when you talk about that '97 at the end, he probably at that period was bigger than Warrior ever was. But that was like kind of one match and just that one angle. Certainly in the late '80s, Warrior was bigger than Sting, though. I mean, because he was in New York and he was on top, and it was a bigger promotion. And so it's hard for me to say one was a bigger draw. They both did real well for themselves. Obviously Sting Sting was the better wrestler and had the longer career.
Is it true Vince has a brother, Rod?
Vince has a brother. I forget what his name is. I think it's Rod. Yeah.
He's not involved in the business at all.
Not whatsoever. It's funny you never hear about him at all. But yeah,
Is he close with Vince at all? Do you know?
I probably not. You never hear about him. I mean, it was surprising to me because I don't think I ever even knew about him existing until Vince Sr. passed away in '84, and they mentioned that he had two sons, and there was the other son, and we never even knew he existed. So I don't know if they grew. I don't even know if they grew up together. I presume they did, but Vince never talks about him either. So I don't know much about Rod. I just know that he exists.
I have a final question. You don't think Kevin Von Erich would have been a star anywhere else?
If they gave him a chance, and he did well. He did well in Japan. He did well in St. Louis. He did well in places that his father wasn't the promoter. Now, the fact that he had that name helped an awful lot when he was young. He got breaks that other guys weren't going to get. But he had a unique style for the time, and he was a fantastic athlete. I mean, I don't think he had the heart for the business that a lot of other people had, and that's probably why his career didn't last as long as others.
Do you think they'll buy the Masters from him? Or?
I think both sides want that eventually. So, yeah, I think the deal will probably happen, yeah. There was some awesome tape there in that era. Joe, real quick, if I asked you what you think is the most important match of your career so far, or what would you say?
The me and Punk's second match.
The 60-minute match?
Yeah.
Any reason why you would say that one?
I just think he kind of thrust my work more towards the forefront. I mean, I think people genuinely enjoyed it, and it kind of was a like I said, a precursor to the stuff that I'm doing now.
Okay, we are totally out of time. I want to thank Joe for being here.